What is good, everyone? Welcome to a podcast of four fans. Four fans. This is the Fourcast Philippines. My name is Mark. I am your PR boy next door. With me is the real deal, JV.
Let's get it!
We have the back-to-back Rookie of the Year. Yes, it is possible. He is Frankie J.
What up?
Last but not the least, the human internet troll. Put a face to the name. I wonder what shirt he's wearing today. Manzano.
Yo, yo, yo. Mark, medyo pissed ako ngayon sa NBA eh.
Wow,
Ang daming
why?
postponements. It's causing my fantasy record to, be as bad as what I predict Miami will end up. Nah, just
Wow.
kidding, Jay.
Shots
Pero,
fired.
Idadamay pa
Kaya,
COVID
eh.
sa hindi ka lang marunong mag-draft eh.
Baka
Hindi,
mag-champion
alam
ka
mo,
man sa ano.
champion like Manchester United. So,
Yun, no?
top of the table. And
Wearing the
nag-retire na yung
Manchester United.
nag-retire na yung favorite player ko si Wayne Rooney. So, respect.
Yung favorite player mo na
Hope you...
Sinado lang si Ronaldo sa Manchester United na nandun
Ano
siya.
sinado? Nauna si Rooney sa United.
Nung pagdating doon ni Ronaldo, shadow lang siya ni Ronaldo.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
But that's on another podcast.
Yeah, Manzano and Frankie J are getting into it in the first 90 seconds of the podcast. But we thank you for joining us in this humble podcast of ours that talks about the NBA, basketball in general, and anything that we want to talk about here on YouTube, the Fourcast PH, on Spotify na rin. Nauna yung Spotify. The Fourcast PH. Follow us on our social media. That's at the Fourcast PH on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Wala kaming LinkedIn, but who knows soon.
LinkedIn.
Snail mail, Telegram, message in the bottle, carrier pigeon kung ano gusto nyo, reach us, even through our personal accounts that you can see on either the left or right side on the screen, depending where I end up on this Zoom call. So, guys, like what Manzano said, his fantasy league has been wild. So has mine, or we're in the same league. But talking about the real NBA, there was just, of course, the bombshell that happened just over the weekend, or a few weeks, whenever you listen to this podcast. James Harden has gone to the Brooklyn Nets, joins Kevin Durant and asterisk Kyrie Irving to form the big three. Houston gets a big haul of picks. They end up with Victor Oladipo through a three-way trade. It's a complicated trade that I don't want to get into. But what we will get into is, if you guys think we're going to dissect this trade, give our takes, do you think this was the best possible scenario for Harden and the Rockets, given everything? What do you think, guys?
For me, I think it's actually the best scenario. It's not even it's a good scenario. It's not not bad. For me, it's really the best for the reason that I think when the trade rumors started, I think the start of the season, even before the season started yet, Brooklyn was the number one choice that James Harden had in mind in terms of going in terms of playing for a team that he wanted to. Even that trade rumor itself shocked the NBA world, and NBA world even imagined James Harden teaming up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and now it's a reality. So I think that's the best trade scenario for him personally. But in turn, I think the Houston Rockets even got a great deal with Oladipo and a few picks. Oladipo just debuted. I think he scored like 32 points and 9 assists, which is not bad. And he wasn't playing with John Wall yet. But yeah, for James Harden personally, I think he's relieved that all the drama around him is over.
Yeah.
He's happy.
Start fresh. Yeah.
He's happy in his new team. Mentally, he can start actually mentally focusing on basketball instead of the drama. I think it's his best. I think he's in the best case scenario, and I think the main important part for this is James Harden's happiness and well-being, and he's playing with Durant, he has played a few years ago, 2012,
Yeah.
last. And I think I saw this tweet wherein it said, I think James Harden said na when Durant and him were in OKC, they were boys. Now they're in Brooklyn, they're men. So
Boys to men.
yeah, exactly. So and they've
Boy band.
ever since that OKC trade from James Harden to Houston, Durant and Harden have been MVPs for the season. So it's a big trade, and then they have Kyrie Irving. So it's a huge trade for it's a huge scenario for James Harden. And to be honest, I think the drama's finally over, and he's happy in
We
Brooklyn.
yeah, we can well, everyone can finally move on with James Harden drama in Houston. And
True.
I agree with Frankie J. I mean, it was the best for me. It was the best scenario that could have happened. Kumbaga, in Filipino, walang talo. Everyone won that trade, getting pieces here and there to
Yeah.
fit the situation of their team. Houston, of course, needed a lot of picks. They needed to build their future or secure their future in some way with a franchise player, a once in a generation talent like Harden, who is probably going to be one of the top 5 scorers, pure scorers of all time. And you have, of course, going to Brooklyn with Durant and Kyrie Irving. That pretty much seals the deal, I guess, for the Eastern Conference. I don't know about you guys, but we'll discuss that in the
Ooh.
latter part of this
Yeah.
podcast. But yeah, like what I said, and if like what all the analysts have said, this is such a good trade for all teams.
Yeah.
Um, and also you see kind of how James Harden is trying to clean up his image.
Right.
True.
Nagpapabango ng pangalan. He's doing the PR. Passing well, performing well. Naka triple double
Performing
siya in his
well.
first game. I
Yeah.
don't know in the second game. I think almost a triple double, diba? But double digit assists and 30 points. So
Yeah.
that's hard to do. It really shows, of course, how skilled he is in terms of being able to adapt. And it's an exciting time to be a Brooklyn Nets fan. Personally, wala akong kilala, but um, I mean, if you're a Durant fan or a Harden fan, now's the time to be happy because they have the best chance of winning in Brooklyn together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like what happened here. It ends it ends the teleserye of James Harden just a day after he gave that now
True.
infamous
True.
press conference that we're not good enough, throwing his team under the bus.
Right.
Day after he goes to his first choice,
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Wild.
it's funny. It's funny
And yun.
if I might add. There's usually trade rumors revolving NBA elite superstars. They never really happen. So or they never really go to the team that they want to go.
Yeah.
So for instance,
Oh,
diba, like Kawhi, they wanted they wanted Kawhi to be with the Lakers, to be traded to the Lakers. He instead goes to the Raptors, and and this is one of the rare times where an NBA superstar gets the trade that he actually wants. So this is a really
yeah.
cool moment.
Yeah. And we have to remember a bit, like coming into the season, like the Nets were a top choice na to come out of the East na,
Mm-hmm.
like with Kyrie, with DeAndre, with KD, parang top pick na sila, and they really had a deep bench. And now they added Harden, like grab, medyo legendary trio siya. Na I feel
Yeah.
like parang yung average nila at least 80 points a game, like if combined. And
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
conservative number na parang
Right.
saan in NBA history nangyaring ganito. And
Right.
in terms of accolades, like they're really one of the top. Isipin mo like the dalawa sa kanila MVPs, dalawa sa
Mm-hmm.
kanila champions na parang
Right.
this caliber of talent is really unprecedented in NBA. Parang really good choice, although may nawala silang really good pillars of
Mm-hmm.
youth.
Young
So that's
players.
Yeah.
yeah, si Jared Allen tsaka si Karis LeVert. Who,
Right.
by the way, like I feel like medyo mag-breakout season na dapat siya last year pero yun nga na-injure. Pero I
Mm-hmm.
think he's in a trajectory to become like really great din. Well, good luck to them, but ngayon medyo sure ball na talaga ang Nets na
Yeah.
mag-finals. Feeling ko mag-finals sila.
Do you agree,
Oh,
Manzano?
ako na lang,
This is
no?
the best
Gusto ko,
scenario.
I wanna apologize to all the NBA fans, all the forecast fans for the ass licking that my fellow
Whoa.
forecast mates did here.
Bakit?
On the
Whoa.
Rocket
Okay.
side, I think this is the best.
Yeah.
Considering the other rumors, Ben Simmons, I think, was a top rumor. I think getting Oladipo and all of those pick swaps was better because it's a
Yep.
better fit. I think Oladipo is a better fit than Simmons considering they already have a point guard in John Wall. But for
Yep.
the Nets, you said they had a bench. Now they don't have any, JB. That's it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
What?
considering there is a big three, I'm not quite sure if there is gonna be a big three for long,
Oh.
considering
Mm.
the third piece of that triangle is sabi niya babalik siya pero
Yeah.
it's just very unpredictable. And secondly, considering going back to the fantasy thing we keep saying kanina, as depth is more important now than ever. Diba? You don't know who's gonna get out
Yeah.
the next day, today, and then half your team's gone. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know James Harden is James Harden, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a triangle, a big three for long. So
Manzano, out of all
I
the
think it's
people here, I'd expect you to understand na kahit two people lang kaya magdala ng finals. You have AD and LBJ sa team mo and nag-champion sila. Sino pa nasa Lakers?
alam mo, JV, complementing pieces yung ano eh.
Ay,
But
nako.
dito, okay, we haven't seen that yet eh. Nung Kyrie and KD, medyo iffy sila eh. Sige, pwedeng new team. Pero they were like, what, 0.500? Ngayon, they had two
Yeah.
good wins with Harden and Durant. When there's three, I don't know.
Well, they're
So,
0.500 because I think there were some games. Of course, Kyrie wasn't playing, and then
yeah,
at the
yeah.
same time, KD wasn't playing as well due to COVID
Yeah.
protocols
Contact
reasons. So
tracing.
most of their losses were actually without both Kyrie and KD. So I
Yep,
think
so,
we haven't really seen the full potential of the Nets,
yeah.
even with just Kyrie and KD. And now we're about to see the full potential of Kyrie, KD, and James Harden. So that's pretty. That's pretty. For me, to
Um,
be honest, for me, even though my team is part of the East, it's pretty exciting. And we're gonna face them
yeah,
in a few days. So and back-to-back games then. So
Di ba
I'm,
losing
Yeah.
I'm
streak
how,
kayo?
oh, we
oh,
we won, we won yesterday. So we're back on track.
JV
And
naman
Ay,
we
eh.
didn't
sorry.
we didn't we didn't
JV
have
naman eh.
we
Hindi na
didn't
pala
have
streak.
Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero the past two games.
Yeah. Ang daming wala sa Heat eh. But
Yeah,
I think they'll make it.
Ako,
And
For sure.
I don't know, man. I'm not as sold. I mean,
with the Nets.
ikaw nagsabi JV, kailangan, yeah, with the Nets. With the Heat ba? With the Nets, with the Nets. Then, you know, when you
Heat
don't
big
have
three na
those
pala.
pillars, ano eh, it's hard. It's hard.
Yep.
But I think
Yes,
to
I get
Manzana's
you.
point, yeah, he is correct. But at the same time, you don't know these players. You mentioned the bench. You don't really know who their bench is. As you
Exactly,
said.
that's the point.
But then again, you don't know if these players will step up because usually, let's say for example, when the big three of Miami came about, you'd always think of it's just gonna be Braun, Wade, and CB. But
Mm-hmm.
people stepped up. We have Chris Anderson, the Birdman. We have you don't expect them to step up. We had Shane Battier who made 5 threes in the finals in the last
Yeah.
game. We had Mike Miller who's supposed to be
Miller.
washed already. So these bench players step
Chalmers.
up. We have Chalmers
Those guys
and
had pedigree though. I mean,
and
before
no,
the
but yeah,
big
but
three in Miami, they already had that.
they're washed up already supposedly. And before Miami, they were nothing. That's why they were traded to Miami. Now
Yeah, and
That's a point. That's a point.
similar
that's a good
players
point.
like that. Joe Harris, he's been stepping up
Yeah.
even without Kyrie and KD.
Yeah.
So like the fourth or fifth player in the Nets that who could score, he's been consistent. Let's say like 12 to 15 points a game. Those are the small keys that they need to become champions. And I feel like these players that we don't know, maybe Luau Cabarro or um,
Whoa.
Bruce Brown. Maybe I'm not even sure if I said the name right. Maybe they would be stepping up with the loss of Karis LeVert and the injury of Spencer
Mm,
Dinwiddie. So
yes.
these players have the chance to step up and show their game. And of course, um, the leadership of KD and James Harden, I feel like would affect these key players. I'm not sure about
Yeah.
Kyrie, but I'm sure
Well,
KD and
Sarili
James
mo
Harden,
muna.
they really know how to uplift these key players. And I feel like they're all three of those big three, their finals losses, their experience in losing in the finals will actually motivate them to win.
Yeah. It
success does erase, ill will. I'm not quite sure if KD and Harden are necessarily leaders. I mean, both have been
Oh, they
proven
are
to
for
be pretty
sure.
much bad teammates. Like,
well,
I know KD clashed with some of the Warriors, especially towards the later years,
but
and
they
he wasn't
won.
really, yeah,
Exactly.
but he wasn't the leader, like leadership as in the, voice of reason kind of
Well,
guy. And
I
with Harden as well in Houston, I think
Right.
CP3 was more of a leader there. Let's not forget he was there, and
well,
so let's see. I mean,
Yeah,
ju-
we'll see
we don't
definitely.
really know them personally, but
I
yeah.
do.
Well,
Joke lang.
they can guest here. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
ka-telegram ko
Oh,
si ka-telegram ko si Kyrie.
i-text mo
That's
na, Mark.
why Telegram. Oo. Kasi mas secure daw yung Telegram
Ay,
ko.
sorry.
kasi
So yun.
aminin ko na nga, ako yung limang burner account ni KD dati. Pero ngayon na nag-forecast ako, finire niya ako kaya kaaway ko
Oh,
na siya.
Exposed
conflict daw,
na.
conflict. I just wanna touch on what Frankie J said earlier, that even if, I mean, if right now we don't see the pieces around them working, yeah, he gave a good example in the Heat. If you have these key players who will make the team around them better and will elevate their play, you never know what's gonna happen, and you might just be surprised at what you get. Especially with these young players, they have shooters, they have young players. They don't have a big. They only have DeAndre Jordan, who has really fallen off in terms of
That's
his.
true.
I mean, his play, diba? He's been like, what happened? But maybe it's age, maybe it's tinatamad siya. But I think they can still make a few moves here and there to get a big, and like what Frankie J said, make the team around them better. You've seen it you've seen a glimpse of it with Harden
Yeah.
passing. I mean, we already know he's one of the best passers right now, and isipin mo, he can pass to KD or Kyrie, who can create on their own. All of them. I mean, it's hard to stop them, the three of them, all at the same time. Like, you just never
Yeah,
know. All three of them can legitimately drop 50 any night, and
that's true.
that's scary. And it may take a while for them to adjust and find to
Mhm.
mesh and gel well, but it's scary. I'm personally I'm scared for the Eastern Conference, but excited as a fan to see how this new Big Three pans out. And yeah, if Kyrie plays, JV, you said earlier, baka wala na si Kyrie. It might just be a big two, a
Yeah,
duo.
as we said, no.
How do you think the Big Three will fare this season?
Big three. So,
Or Big
ang,
Two? I don't know. What do you think?
ang iniisip ko lang kasi, like, historically, like, big threes don't tend to work, especially if superstar levels lahat. For example, dati, like, we had the Run TMC, or, well, anyways, wala akong maisip, pero, like, the main ingredient for big threes, yung success rate nila is the third person usually has to sacrifice their, like, in terms of production minutes. For example, like si CB sa Heatles, si Clay nung Warriors
Chris
Dynasty era
Boucher?
with KD. Ay,
Ay, hindi,
nako!
hindi, hindi. Wala pa ata siya sa league nun. No?
Respeto kay Chris Bosh. Or
Dinosaur na dinosaur.
or si or Mark, near to your heart, si Manu Ginobili, big three ng
Mhm.
Spurs. So, I
Kevin
think
Love.
Kevin
Kevin
Love,
Love,
exactly. Pero in this situation, I don't see kung
Kyrie.
sino sa kanila yung mag-sacrifice.
Exactly.
Diba? I think yun yung bibigay ko lang kay Manzano at this point. Like, it's
They
hard to gauge kung paano sila mag-farewell with each other given na yun nga mag-50 sila any point in time or
Right.
any game sa season.
Right.
So yun.
Actually,
and
I'd like to touch then on. Sorry, Mark. I'd like to touch then
go.
on what JB said. I was looking. If you look at the names James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, you even if talent wise, even if it's skill wise, they're kind of like almost at the same level. You wouldn't really know who's gonna be kind of like the ones who's gonna have a lower production than usual. So
True.
it's not the same as seeing LeBron, Wade, and Bosch. Na LeBron
Yeah,
and Wade they're gonna be kind of like the Batman and Robin, and then
yeah.
si Bosch is like a side character or whatever. And then
Yung
similar with
taga-flash ng Batman sign.
oh similar to
Commissioner Gordon.
Commissioner Gordon, or
Commissioner Gordon.
similar to Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love. You always knew that Kevin Love was somehow gonna be the person who's gonna have a lower production among
Yeah.
the three. Now, but you're looking at James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant, possibly at the very primes of their career,
Yeah.
and you just don't know. And in terms of their personality, it doesn't really seem that anyone's just really gonna back off of
Yeah.
production
Yeah.
status or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
They're
So I'm not sure personality wise, is Kyrie Irving gonna be willing to cool
to sacrifice.
like not have the ball all the time, or is Kevin Durant
Mm-hmm.
gonna be okay with that? And James Harden, he has the ball 90% of the time in Houston. Maybe now he has to have plays off the ball. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he's okay with that. So yeah, similar to what JV
It's
said, you're not really sure.
Yun
it's
nga
not clear cut.
Azal.
It's
Yeah.
not clear cut just yet. Like who's gonna have to take that step back. But people are saying now maybe it's Kyrie. I don't know. He's also very ball dominant, and you know
Yeah.
how magical Kyrie Irving is on the court when he's into it, when he's locked in. He's one of the most lethal scorers. I mean, but just to bring up a point, KD won with Steph, Clay, Draymond, so he knows how to play within a system. But
Mm-hmm.
I guess, he was the number one option. I would say it was Steph's team, but he was the number one option. Kyrie won with LeBron, and Kevin Love. Um, and he was playing with the MVP, the Finals MVP. So at least for those two people, alam mo they can fit within a system. But then again, that's the third guy coming in now is James Harden, who is very ball dominant.
Right.
Kulang ba yung isang bola? Is one ball enough? We'll see. But what's
Mark,
exciting is, I
actually,
mean, yeah,
I'd argue yung sa sinabi mo about KD and Kyrie. Like, if we like go down the list, si KD, gusto niya umalis kasi hindi siya face ng Warriors. Si Kyrie, umalis ng Cleveland kasi ayaw niya ma-overshadow kay LeBron. Now, we have Harden na gusto umalis na din pero hindi natin alam kung anong disposition niya in terms of the star level. But historically, like, they won't yield to become a second fiddle kasi nanggaling na sila doon.
Well,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
at least they know how it
Okay.
feels to win. With
If
as
they
a
wanted
second
to continue
person.
winning, they would have stayed.
Well, one thing we do know is they all have egos and they're all friends. That's why they all ended up together.
True.
All right. Okay. So as we wind up, or as we wind down in this Harden trade dissection here on the forecast, how just a very quick hitter. How will this trade change the landscape of the NBA in the future? We know how a James Harden trade has changed the landscape of the NBA 8 years ago or 9 years ago when he went from OKC to Houston. How will this trade affect the landscape of the NBA long term? What do you think? Will this be a start of the dynasty?
I
Or
think yeah.
yeah,
I
go
think
ahead, Frankie J.
I think the big three era is gonna be back after a 1 year hiatus. So
1 year lang.
oh,
Na-injure pa kasi yung Warriors eh. Na-injure pa yung
so
Warriors.
Nice.
I think although this will be proven if the Nets do win the championship this year. If they really do prove that they're gonna be dominant as a trio. But if they do, I'm sure a lot of free agents or big free agents would like to kind of match that team in terms of joining teams that already have a duo. Let's say,
Yep.
you never know, the Lakers might get another star with their team added to their team,
Mm-hmm.
or a team like the Clippers, if they're gonna have another star. The teams that are actually have the teams that actually have the all-star duos, they might want to look for another all-star
A
piece
third,
to
yeah.
add, to
Yeah.
just kind of, if ever the Brooklyn Nets win it all this year and prove to be the dominant, a dominant big three or a dominant
Yeah.
team, a lot of teams would want to kind of match that.
I would just to second what Frankie J said. I agree. This could usher in a new Big Three era. I'm going to liken it to the Heat's Big Three era, wherein they went to the finals for how many straight years?
Or
4 straight years. Um, they went to the finals in 4 straight years. They won two. I think it's going to be a similar run with the Brooklyn Nets. And hey, I see them winning more than one championship if this all goes well. Why not? If it's Manzano's face, if you're watching the video
Da-
version of this
Daming
podcast, he just
reaction ah.
yeah.
gave a violent
Uh,
reaction. What do you think, Manzano?
so you think it's gonna usher in the Big Three era? God,
Yes,
I hope.
a Heat like Big Three era.
God,
Wherein
I hope not.
Actually, I agree
Bakit?
with Manzano.
I
I
mean,
hope not.
parity is best. They
yeah,
want.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
It's just simple math. The more players concentrated, the less teams, essentially less competitive the league is. But to answer Mark's question, this is my prediction, and this is the best for everyone. Okay, and let me explain why. The Nets are gonna make the finals. That's good for Steve Nash, my 1.1 favorite player beside Kobe. So he's gonna finally make a
Oh.
finals. Well, technically he made it with the Warriors as a coach consultant, right? But
yeah. He got a
he's gonna make
ring.
the finals. But they're gonna lose to the Lakers. And Kyrie, and mamili ka na lang, bato-bato pick kung sinong tatakbo among that
May
big
iba
three.
taya, ganun.
Pero may iba tayo, tatlo pala no? So, that's my prediction. They're gonna make the finals. They're gonna lose badly, 4-0. Steve,
Wow.
Wow.
embarrassed.
Wow.
Oh, shooks.
Respeto naman sa former
Wow.
MVPs and
Okay lang
champions.
yan. Ibig sabihin, mas
Oh,
okay pa yung Miami series.
tama. Tama si Frank. Kaya nga sabi siya, win-win for all eh. So, tatakbo yung isa, and no, you won't have a big three domination
Mm,
for the league. I think
interesting.
are best.
Yeah,
Like right now,
I like this.
diba?
I like this situation right now.
Yeah, diba? Like the teams na are being from the ashes right now are duos. Like you have the Suns, Booker and Paul.
Mm.
Yep.
So some of the new teams. So hopefully it's duos from here on. Then.
Yeah. Giannis, Middleton.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I agree though that having parity in the league is really what makes it more fun, makes it less predictable. Ikaw, JV, what do you think? How will this
Nasabi
change
niyo
the
na.
landscape? Sabi nila.
Parang I feel like hindi naman siya masyadong mag-change.
Mm.
Kasi ganitong blockbuster only is possible through trades. Kasi usually if signed lang yan, super
Mhm.
over the cap na mga tong players. So I don't think hindi siya like it won't change anything drastic. Pero I would say na next year champions ang Dubs ko. Yan lang.
What a
Wala.
homer
Nasa,
pick.
Oo.
nasan yung Nets? Nasan yung Nets? Saan
Oo
sila,
nga.
JV? Kaya nga,
Natalo nila.
relate mo sa topic.
Dubs 4, Nets 0.
Di naman. Siguro mga 4-3. 4-3.
Whoa, 7
May
games.
humility.
7 games. Kasi Big 3 versus Big 3 eh.
Ako, just going back to the previous episodes na sinabi ko mag-finals ang Miami. Now, I'm not really sure kahit may bias ako.
Mm.
So,
Hindi
You
ba
ganun.
never
playoff
know.
team sila? Playoff
Ako
team sila eh,
medyo
di ba?
na-accept. Parang hindi pa nga nagmumukhang playoff team na yan eh. Pero, I'm not losing hope. I'm sure, I'm 100% sure we're gonna be a playoff team. And I
Yeah,
think
for
siguro
sure.
But yeah, the Nets really changed my mindset about the East. And actually nung naisip ko nga na Kyrie and KD are gonna play this year, parang shocks. May Nets na. Tapos lumagdag pa si Harden. So parang double shocks.
Alam
Yeah.
mo yung wala nang paki kay Giannis bigla.
Oh, well, yeah, he's
The
gonna show up
back-to-back
either way.
MVP.
Which
Back-to-back
might be
MVP.
better for him. Which might be better. Let's see.
Yeah. All right, fly under the radar and surprise people. But we'll
That's
just have to
true.
wait and see if this Brooklyn Nets team will indeed go all the way. If they'll make it a historic run, who knows? One thing we do know is that there's a lot of basketball left. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Fourcast PH, dissecting the James Harden to Brooklyn trade. Probably one of the biggest trades in the last 5 years, if not the biggest. Here on the Fourcast PH. So you can, again, catch this on Spotify, on YouTube. Subscribe to us, follow us on those channels, on all our social media channels. Our personal accounts, pwede rin. And let us know what you want to hear. If you have any comments, suggestions, you can feel free to drop them down below in the comments. Send us a message, whatever, and we'll try to read them. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for all the love. We'll see you on the next episode of the Forecast PH. Once again, this has been your PR boy next door Mark with the Real Deal, JV, B back to back of the year, Frankie J, and human internet troll, Man Isana. Okay, guys, we'll see you till we see you. Bye.